I don't think it's an overstatement to call the relationship between Kaoru and Hajime the best portrayal of marriage I've ever seen in fiction. The couple are the main characters of the series I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, a show that follows the daily life of two newlyweds in their early 20s trying to make it work. Despite each episode only being about 3 minutes long, these two make a strong impression, both as a couple and individually. When I look at Kaoru's friends, Hajime's family drama and hobbies, or the various jobs they've each had over the years, I can easily imagine them both having full, interesting lives even if they'd never met each other. And that's important. That means that they're each far more than just one half of a couple, and their relationship will be better for it. It gives them baggage to deal with and bond over, and histories to build off of as they push themselves and each other forward into new challenges. Fiction tends to represent a relationship as something shallow. It's your goal, it's what you chase, it's your reward for overcoming something. What makes this particular anime so refreshing is that, unlike what we usually see across all forms of media, getting married to the person you love isn't treated like crossing a finish line. The usual formula is to present a lovable loser who can't quite manage to get the girl, preserve that status quo for as long as possible, and then give them a happily ever after when the series is going to end. Friends got a solid decade out of the will they won't they of Ross and Rachel, only letting them finally be happy together as of the series finale. The point of their relationship was never them being together, but the idea of them being together. A goal you hope these characters you like can achieve because you can relate to what they're going through. Everyone's had anxiety about love and relationships at some point in their life, so presenting main characters at this stage makes it easy for the audience to relate and get invested, which is why the story ends once this stage of their lives is over. Unlike a sitcom that's going to have a definitive ending at some point, comic books can be a lot more open-ended. Spider-Man started in 1962 and shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. Here, they preserved Peter Parker's lovable loser persona until 1987, taking 25 years to finally marry the woman he loves. 20 years later, in 2007, Marvel erased the marriage with a literal deal with the devil, for the sake of returning the character to the old status quo that they felt people would find more relatable. I know what you're thinking. 20 years of married life seems like a pretty good investment in the idea that would let writers get as much mileage as possible out of them as a married couple. Except that instead of doing that, they spent most of that time focusing on a different character they invented that had the same powers, who eventually took over as Spider-Man, became the new main character of the franchise, and, you guessed it, was a lovable loser who couldn't quite get the girl. There's this idea floating around out there that it's too hard to write good drama that focuses on characters who have a happy, loving spouse waiting for them at home, because being married is a net positive that can undermine anything bad or troubling you want these characters to have to deal with. The usual go-to tactic for creating drama for married characters is to put them in a situation where they either break up or almost break up. This kind of thinking assumes that married people are somehow fundamentally different than single people, and it ignores the fact that married people are still just people, and moving into a new stage of your life just means you now have even more things to worry about on top of most of the old stuff. Kaoru had hit a point where all her friends were getting married, and she felt life was passing her by. After getting married herself, she's unsure if she really married for love or out of fear that she'd end up alone. And regardless of the fact that these concerns never totally go away, she takes comfort in the fact that what she feels when he's around makes it all worth it. Despite being an independent adult, Hajime still very much lives life exactly as he did in high school. He knows he needs to shape up and start acting like an adult, but he's afraid to do that because Kaoru's always accepted him the way he is, and doesn't want to risk ruining their relationship by acting more his age. He's not sure if who he wants to be is the same as who he needs to be, and is afraid of disappointing her if he chooses wrong. Both of these characters still carry all the baggage from their pre-married lives, and picked up more along the way because they're married. Marriage doesn't magically negate any of life's hardships. It gives you someone to help deal with the even greater hardships that come from going through with a life-changing decision, as well as a bright spot to remind you why it's all worth doing in the first place. The most telling thing about this show and its attitude towards this subject is the fact that the very first scene of I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying is the wedding, presenting this as the beginning of something instead of the end of a story. It isn't the reward they get for solving their problems or making it to the end, and it isn't the idyllic fairy tale, as neither character is sure they're actually doing the right thing with their lives. There are no easy answers, and there is no finish line. You just do the best you can, and if you're lucky, you'll find someone who will stand by you so you can face life together. And just when you think you've got a handle on things, something else happens. Because no matter what, no matter who you are or what stage of life you're currently in, challenges and drama never stop coming.